I'm on a hike in Austin, the hill country. It's a really nice green belt here in Austin, but it's still nearly impossible to get away from the sound of the city. You can hear the trucks, the traffic, and on some level I'm really annoyed by that. My body, my nerves feel aggravated, but I have a stillness within me these days, finally, which allows me to remain grounded and just accepting of the fact that this is what is, and me being upset about it or reactionary is not going to change what is. It will only send me further spinning into the direction of being miserable. And so I get to choose how I respond to this reality. And how I respond is by taking care of my body, my nervous system, my heart and my mind. That's what I have control over, what's inside of here and this vehicle. So I meditate, I do yoga, I study, I get up early, I go to bed early. I try to get a good amount of time in nature every day. Move my body. That's what I have control over. And I feel the world would be a lot more peaceful and a lot healthier for humans if we were all willing to, first and foremost, take responsibility for our own health and wellness and our own feelings, and not look to others to meet those needs. Because when we're looking to others, we have an external locus of control. It causes us to try to manipulate and change things in such a way so that we feel okay. And oh, look at feather. I'm like, oh, a squirrel. I like to see this feather. That's a peacock feather. I like to collect feathers when I go on my hikes, and then I make art. That's kind of a walking meditation. That's one of the things I like to do every day, is take a walk and look for feathers. So it's like a mindfulness practice, because feathers don't necessarily jump out at you. You have to really be paying attention and be present. So, yeah, back to what I was saying, was that if more of us took personal responsibility and didn't look to something outside of ourselves to feel complete and whole and okay and safe, then I feel that we wouldn't be changing the world, like our environment, nature, on such a drastic level. And to me, that's not loving. It's not kind. It's like if you were in a relationship with a person and they constantly were nagging at you about all the ways in which you needed to change to make them feel like they could be with you and be in love with you. Well, perhaps you're just not the person for them, right? That would be the response of a healthy person. They would say, well, it sounds like I'm not the person for you, and they would probably leave that relationship. And I wonder how long it's going to be before nature, the earth, decides that about us. Like, hey, this relationship just doesn't seem to be working out because you think you need to change the direction my streams flow. You like to dam up my waterways. You like to cut down all my trees to build your houses. You like to extract minerals from the earth to make your technological gadgetries On and on and on. There's no end to which we take, and deplete without giving back. We've broken the circle of nature. We've made it into a straight line, and we're about to walk off a cliff. And I think it's deeply rooted in this need to control, and I think that is rooted further in a lack of faith in God, or even acknowledging the existence of God, and that we are children of God, made in God's image. And this is not about religion. That's another way that man has sought to control other men and the world around him, is to say, these are the ways that you have to engage with God. These are the rules that you must abide by. And you have to go through another man to talk to God. No, that's not true. And that's what religion does. And religion has given God a bad name. And many people have turned their backs on God because of religion. And isn't that a shame? I'm a fan of Jesus Christ, and Christ was not a Christian. Christ was Christ. And men turn around and use the name of Jesus Christ to make a bunch of rules to have their own will be done. So we have to use the discernment that God gave us to know what's right or wrong. And yes, indeed there is a right or wrong. We know that even if you just look at that in terms of cause and effect, and if you do this, it causes that, and that is not conducive to life, well, that could be a bad thing. Okay, that's how I look at what is good or bad. Is it conducive to life and health and wellness and wholeness? Well, it's good. If it brings about disease and disconnection and sadness and depression, well, it's probably not good. And look at the world around us. Okay, our waterways are polluted. Our food is poison. People are dying of cancer. Children have autism at unprecedented rates, and it continues to climb, and our fertility rates are continuing to plummet because of microplastics in everything. That is a result of man forcing his own will onto nature. That is about man forgetting that he is part of the circle of life, taking himself outside of it and sticking his foot on the neck of his mother and demanding that she give, and give nothing in return. It's cancerous. Okay, we are a tumor. We've become a tumor, and I'm not suggesting that human beings go extinct, that we should do that, or that we should stop having babies. No, we are an endangered species because of our own doing, and we need to course correct. We need to stop trying to fix problems by creating more problems because we're short-sighted. Sometimes the answer is to just turn and walk away instead of continuing down the same path and say, how can we continue to do things the way we've been doing and not get sick? Well, that's why we're sick, is because of the way we're doing things. Okay, like maybe everybody doesn't need a personal vehicle, maybe everybody doesn't need a lawnmower, maybe everybody doesn't need their own house. Instead of just trying to make things more efficient so we can do more and more. That's why we're in this mess. Like, you can't get any more efficient than nature. That's why we see all these patterns that we do. Branching patterns, circles, waves. These are all patterns that nature has decided are the best way to distribute energy, resources, water, nutrients, life. You can't do better than that. Can't do better than nature. It's silly. It's silly to think that we know better than nature and know better than God. God made this all. Why would we change what God made? We think we know better than God. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Nature is God's art. including us. We're part of God's art, and we are made in the image of God. We are works of art, living in a work of art, creating works of art. And we decided that we're going to turn around and destroy all of God's art and then mimic it. Like, we think that computer generated trees are cooler than real trees that make oxygen. And then the energy and the way we go about generating computer imagery of trees depletes and destroys and pollutes oxygen. We're bizarro, guys. We need to chill the fuck out. We need to back on up. We need to turn around, walk back into the woods, and start walking in a circle again, participating in the circle. So I'm out here in the woods, realizing that it is just the reality that it's very hard to get away from the sounds of the city. Even when you don't see it, you hear it. Okay? And I can't control that. But I can control how I soothe my nervous system, what I take into my body to feed it, the way that I breathe. I can control what I do and how I respond. And I choose to not be reactive as much as possible. And I feel that if we were all taking responsibility for our own happiness and wellness and health, then that would be part of it. We would also automatically be... I lost myself there. It doesn't happen a lot, but... that is part of being responsible and meeting your own needs and having not an external locus of control, but an internal. Doing what it is that you can do to make sure that you are able in any given situation to be responsive rather than reactive. That requires awareness, a heightened level of consciousness. The more expanded your consciousness is, the more information you can take in, the better you can assess the reality of the situation and the ways in which the way you interact with it will affect everything and everyone around you. That's why it's so important to seek to know, to seek to learn, to grow, so that we're not myopic, so that we don't continue to create more problems by fixing the ones we already made. We don't fix anything. We just make it a tangled mess. We make it worse and worse and worse and worse. We need to clear the table. We need to walk another way, okay? We need to scrap this shit. What we've been doing, thinking we know better than God. I've been to Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Florida, Louisiana, hanging out in all these different places over the last 2 months, and really seeing some beautiful, beautiful places that God made. And I feel vibrant and healthy and grounded. And I want to continue in that direction. And I would just encourage you all, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, please don't beat yourself up about that. Please do not assume that there's something wrong with you intrinsically. There's something wrong with the way we are going about human society. And all of these things are bells and whistles. They're alarm clocks. They are things that God gave us to notify us that something isn't right. So it's not a good idea to drown that out, to numb that, to silence it. Because when you do, it's tantamount to turning off your alarm when your house is on fire and just going back to sleep in a house on fire. That's what happens when you take Prozac and Lexapro and all these sorts of drugs. And see, I was going to upload this video to YouTube, but I can't now because I said Lexapro and Prozac, and I already had 450 videos stolen from me by YouTube because I'm talking about Big Pharma. And they decided that I'm filling people's heads full of misinformation, and they terminated my channel completely, and they stole all my information. But what I'm saying is these drugs are ways that the powers that be have decided to keep us docile and malleable and asleep, so that we will keep on acting in a way that is not in our own best interest. And the way that we know that it's not in our own best interest is because of the symptoms these drugs are treating. We need to listen to them. So I suggest, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, go outside, breathe some fresh air, move your body, get some sunshine, some vitamin D. Eat whole foods. Find a local farmer. You can't trust even organic food that you buy in grocery stores now because they're pumping them full of seed oils to preserve them longer. The oil of seeds is the last thing your body wants to eat. It's poison. It's toxic. It's the way that the seed tries to save itself from being eaten. Okay? Don't eat. If you can help it, try to only get things locally sourced or grow your own food as much as possible. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish up this hike. I'm going to try to find a local farm, see if they have a place where I can buy food directly from the farm. If not, then I'm going to go to the farmer's market this weekend here in Austin. There's a food forest I learned about here locally. I'm going to see about volunteering there. And then I'm going to try to find a farm within an hour of here to stay at and volunteer at. So this video has gone all over the place, I know. I was walking out here and I was feeling a little bit annoyed at first about the sounds and the noise, and God, I can't even get away from, as hard as I try, I can't get away from the sound of man and cars and oh God, but okay, don't be reactionary. That is the reality. But look around me. There's still beautiful greenery. Nature is very resilient. Like I said, it can make a decision at any moment to end the relationship it has with us. It doesn't need us. We need it. So it's in our best interest to reassess how we've been doing things and stop walking in a straight line and start walking in a circle.